Want to get it wet? Hello! Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. That was super sweet of you. I cannot believe it is November already. Oh my gosh, it's the 11th month in the year. I thought it was March like yesterday. What a 2020 we're having. Let's talk about something joyful. Look at these earrings. I am in love with these earrings. They are from Shop Clochey. She has an Etsy store. I'll link it down below. I just think these are so fun and they bring me joy, and I felt like it was appropriate because today we're going to be talking about something else that brings me joy, and that thing is graphic liner. My sweet, sweet Prince graphic liner. So in April of 2020, I uploaded a video reviewing the Bimelalops radioactive water inks, and that was the first official time that I attempted graphic liner, and they brought me so much joy. I was just smiling and like laughing and having so much fun that whole video, and I felt like I really found my thing with graphic liner, you know? So what am I going to be talking about in today's video? I'm going to be talking about different water activated liners that I would recommend for graphic liner. I'm going to be talking about different brushes that I like for graphic liner. I'm going to be talking about everything you need before starting graphic liner, so like prep and everything, as well as throwing some tips and tricks in along the way. And of course, I'm going to be demonstrating a couple of beginner friendly graphic liner shapes for you. I'm going to do one on each eye. We're going to do two different ones. These are two shapes that I really felt like helped me practice to get into some more unique and more challenging shapes. I consider them to be very beginner friendly shapes, so I'm going to be doing those today. It's a tutorial, it's an informational video. There's going to be a lot coming at you real soon. So if that sounds like a topic that is interesting to you and you want to learn about all things graphic liner in a very beginner friendly way, then I encourage you to please subscribe and keep on watching. Coming at you right now. Okay, so before you can start doing your graphic liner, there are a couple of things that you are going to need. The first thing is going to be a cup of cold water, because I am going to be working with water activated liners today, so obviously you need water to activate it. And I say cold because I tried hot water a couple times when I was first getting into graphic liner, and I don't know why, I just felt like the product didn't stick as well to the brush that way, so I would recommend a cup of cold water. This is my dedicated water activated liner cup. I would never drink out of this again. I do not recommend using a glass that you drink out of to do your graphic liner. And then you are also going to need a paper towel, because when you're using your graphic liner brushes, you know, if you want to switch colors or anything, you're going to want to wipe it off on a paper towel, because not everything always comes off in your water. Sometimes it'll get stuck at the tip of the brush, so you're definitely going to need a paper towel as well. And of course, you're going to need some brushes. So this leads us into what brushes I use for my graphic liner looks. Now, lately, I have been very into this nail art set. I bought this on Amazon. It's from the company Beetles Gel Polish. I will link them down below, but it was $8.99 and I got these set of 5 brushes. Let me put them in order here. And they're also really cute. They have little like crystals in them, which, you know, I love crystals, so I'm thrilled that they're here, but they don't really add anything to the brushes. They're just cute. So you get a set of 5, and you have one that has a really long brush tip here, and then you have one that's probably about half the size of that brush tip, but still on the longer side. Then you have this one's a little shorter, this one's a little shorter than that, and this one is the shortest. So the longer tip brushes I like to use for long glidey lines, like when I know I'm gonna be doing a really long line, like I'm just going in, getting that wing out there. I find the longer brushes are better for that. And when you want to do more detailed work, that's what I prefer the smaller brushes for. I'm going to be using these brushes today, so I will refer to each brush as I'm using it and why I'm using it. But if you didn't want to buy that gel polish set for some reason, you know, maybe you don't have access to Amazon or you can't get those brushes right now, another brush that I love and recommend is the brush from the e.l.f. Precision liquid liner. You can get this one, or NYX also makes a liquid liner that uses a paint brush tip. That's the important thing here. You want to use a paintbrush tip, and this liquid liner from e.l.f. I think is either $2 or $3 at the drugstore. So even if you don't want to use the liner in there, like you want to buy a water activated liner, you can still buy it just for the brush. I think it's totally worth it. It's a very good brush. Just make sure you wash it off first before you use it. And the NYX brush looks the same way. This is a tip that I got from Cut Creaser on Instagram, the graphic liner queen, the person who inspired me to get into graphic liner. She is so talented. Oh my goodness. She recommended using the brush from the NYX liquid liner, and I recommend using the brush from the e.l.f. liquid liner and the NYX liquid liner. They're both great paintbrush tips, super flexible. It's about the same length and size as this brush, like the middle of the set brush, like the mid-length brush. But yeah, if you don't want to do any of those brushes and you're looking for something even more accessible, if you just go to your local craft store and look for a really thin tip brush, just look at their paintbrush section and look for something with a brush like this, you know, something, a thin tip like this here. That is what we're looking for. And those are the brushes I'm gonna be using today. Hi, we're all zoomed in because we're gonna get started on this graphic liner look and showing you some beginner friendly shapes. But before we can get started, we need to prep our lid space. So the way I like to set my eyes before doing graphic liner is I do not use an eyeshadow primer. That's a big no thanks for me, and that is just because I like to have the option to easily fix my mistakes if I mess up. Since with graphic liner, it's so much of just like doing big long lines, and you know, sometimes you make a mistake. Sometimes you go too far out this way and you want it to go more up that way. And I find that if you use an eyeshadow primer, it's really hard to erase those mistakes unless you use a makeup wipe or something. So the way I like to set my eyes is with a translucent or close to your skin tone colored eyeshadow. I like to use this shade from the ColourPop So Jaded palette, whatever you have that's an eyeshadow that's close to your skin tone. And I just use that to set my eye, just set any oils that might be on my eye, give me a good place to work with. It also does do a good job of canceling out any veins that are poking through it all. And you are gonna make sure you set all the way out here too, because you wanna set wherever your graphic liner is gonna go, and we are gonna be taking it out pretty far, so I wanna make sure that whole area is set here. And what's great about this eyeshadow, like I mentioned before, is that if you make a mistake, you can just go in with a Q-tip and super easily wipe it away, and then you just go back in with a little more eyeshadow, start over, and you're ready to go again. Another thing that I didn't show on camera, but I did do before I started, is I went and tweezed all around my eyelid area, because sometimes you don't even see the hairs. They're like little blonde looking hairs. You don't see it all, but you'll be in the middle of doing your graphic liner and all of a sudden a hair will pop up and it kind of like makes the shape look off. So I like to make sure I really go in and get all of those little hairs before I start. Another thing you can do is use one of these little face razors. I use it to shave my face every once in a while. I only do it every once in a while, but I do shave my face every once in a while with one of these little chic face razors, and I will sometimes just go on this outer area. You don't want to touch your actual lid with the razor. I mean, I don't know what happened, but for me that seems too scary, but I will sometimes like go with the razor right here just to really make sure I get all those hairs, because you wouldn't think of it, but it does make graphic liner a little more challenging when you have all of those little hairs sticking up. So once you've done that, then we are really ready to start our graphic liner looks. Okay, so I have 3 different brands of water activated liners here in front of me today. I already mentioned the by Mel Lops radioactive water inks. I have a whole video reviewing these. If you want to see it, I'll link it down below. This is a phenomenal formula. These colors are so fun and interesting. Some of them are UV colors, which is really great, and I love by Mel Lops formula. You can get this whole set of 8 mini water inks, which don't let mini deter you because you barely have to use any once you combine it with water, so these will still last you a long time. And I believe I paid $40 for all 8 of these. It's either $40 or $42. I think it's a pretty affordable option. I also love the formula from B. Taylor Beauty. I got this set of 8, this palette of 8, I should say, for $35, which is also a great deal. And then I have these little pastel liners from Be Elegant Cosmetics. I believe I paid $33 for 7 of these. I can vouch for all 3 of these brands. They all have incredible formulas. I think they're all very comparable to each other, and they are also all small indie brands, which is great. We love to support small businesses. We love to support indie brands. I have videos reviewing all 3 of these formulas. I will link them down below for you if you want to get some more information, but just know that I stand strongly behind all of these brands, and I think they're all wonderful, and I'm probably going to be using a mix of them today. So now let's get into the shape. Okay, so the first shape I'm going to be doing on this eye is what I like to call the stacked wing. We're going to be doing a standard winged liner close to the lash line, and then we're going to be putting a stacked wing in the crease. It sounds fancy, it's not fancy at all, and it's very easy to do. And the first brush I want to use is my second to largest long brush from my nail art set here, and I like to, I'm dipping it in water right now, it's off camera. Want to get it wet. You gotta get it wet because you gotta activate those water activated liners. And so what I'm doing now is I'm dipping my wet brush. You can see it's activated. You see it's like a slightly different color here. You want to really saturate that brush here. Okay, and like I said, I'm going to be doing a stacked wing, so we're going to be doing my standard wing liner first, and I'm going to bring it out pretty far. Don't be alarmed. It's okay. It's graphic liner. It's dramatic. We love it. That's why I love it, at least. But I like to use a longer brush like this because it makes it really easy to draw a line. Look at that. Look at how simple that was. Effortless. And then I just go in, I'm adding a little more product to my brush, and then I'm gonna go to where that line is and drag it back here. So I've created my little wing portion here. I don't worry too much about the shape to start with because I know I'm gonna go back over it. Let me connect it to the front here. Now this is the easy part. I'm just filling it in. See, this is exactly the reason why I don't set my eyes, because I get to talking and then I just randomly drop a little dot right there, but that's okay. I just take a Q-tip like this. Okay, so I wiped away that dot, and I know that I messed up the wing a little bit here, but that's okay. I'm just gonna go back in with my powder brush, my skin tone color eyeshadow brush, and just give it a quick little set right here. Okay, and we're back in business. Excellent. I'm so glad I made a mistake so that I could show you how I fix my mistakes. So what I was saying before is that I like to use this brush to finish filling in my wing. If you wanted to, you could switch to a slightly smaller brush. It definitely gives you a little more control when you're filling in the small area in the middle. I like to use this longer brush, typically just for drawing lines and not always for filling in, but sometimes I just don't feel like washing it off, so that's why I continue to use it. Longer brushes tend to give you more control over lines and less control over smaller areas. Okay, so I'm feeling pretty good about the way this wing looks. You don't need to drag it out to be this long. I am a dramatic lady and I prefer a dramatic wing, but if you want to start out smaller, absolutely feel free to do so. When doing the stacked wing style, you just need to have a wing. It doesn't need to be super long. I mean, you want to take it out kind of far so that you can stack it, but you know, you can take it out as far as you like it, because the next step that I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be using the exact same brush. We want to use a bit of a longer, super skinny brush like this. My little nail art brushes are perfect, and what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be basically mirroring this wing up here. Obviously, I'm not drawing out a full wing like I am before. I'm drawing a line, and I'm going to go and flick it up like that. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do now. Definitely wanna make sure you re-wet your brush because the brush will dry after a while. I noticed especially with the super thin tip brushes, like these nail art brushes, because they're such a thin brush, they tend to dry out a little faster than say my e.l.f. brush. That e.l.f. brush is a little bit thicker, can hold product a little bit longer, so just make sure you keep wetting your brush as you go. Okay, so my brush is fully saturated with product here. Now I like to start right where my eyebrow is. Like I like to start about right here, kind of where the tip of the wing meets the brow, and I kind of follow the shape of my brow bone. I'm sorry, I didn't want to try talking while I was doing it. You can see I'm going on where my brow bone is, and then I'm flicking it up at the end, mirroring where the wing is flicked here. And I like to put the placement of the eyeliner right here because I have hooded eyes, so if I put that any lower, then it's not going to look like a complete line. You know, it's gonna sink into my hood, so if you don't have hooded eyes, you might not have to put it quite up this high, but I like to put it up this high. I don't know, I like utilizing as much of my lid space as I possibly can. I don't have a whole ton of lid space. You know what, I always say that, but that might actually be a lie. I kind of do have a lot of lid space. Once you start utilizing the area under your brow bone, it's really gonna change your life, especially for my hooded eye friends. Use the area under your brow bone. It's part of your eye, it's part of your lid space. You have lid space too. Okay, great. So I just did that in one flick, and honestly, kind of outdid myself. That looks pretty good, but I'm gonna go in and just go over that line one more time just to make sure it's really solid looking and looks like the shape I want. So I usually start front to back when I do the initial line, but when I'm going in and like fixing it, solidifying it, thickening it, if you will, I like to start in the back and then come over. That's just personal preference. You can continue going over it front to back if you want, but right now I'm going back to front because I'm trying to get that back area filled in a little bit, because since it was at the end of the flick, there was definitely less product on my brush, so I want it to all be evenly filled in with color. All right, just gonna let that dry for a second. All right, and that is it for our first beginner-friendly graphic eyeliner shape. This is why I call it a stacked wing. It's essentially just following the same shape of the wing that you did down below, and it's graphic because it's fun. You know, it's like, how do we classify what graphic liner is? For me, graphic liner is anything beyond the norm of just a winged liner. I feel like graphic liner is anytime you put liner like up here and it's a graphic shape. I don't know. I feel like, do I look like I popped out of a graphic novel? What do people do in graphic novels? That's like superheroes, right? Pa, 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 pa. I love it. Great. See, I'm having a good time. Graphic liner makes me happy. I don't know how to describe it. The serotonin this brings me is indescribable, but I love graphic liner, and I feel like this is a super easy, beginner-friendly shape. You can use 2 different colors if you want to get really glamorous and fancy. I did 2 of the same today just because, you know, we're focusing on the basics. We're getting down to basics. Let's move on to the second eye. We're going to be doing a slightly different shape on the other eye, and this time it's going to be connected. I feel like this is the most beginner-friendly eyeliner shape because they're 2 different lines, but on this side we are gonna do 2 connected lines. We're basically gonna go like, does that make sense? Probably not, but let me show you. Ooh, let me use one of my by Mellow Lops colors for this time. I know I'm gonna have 2 different eye looks going on. I don't care, I'm not going anywhere. This is informational for you. Let's use the color Radiant from the by Mellow Lops Radioactive Water Inks. This is like a beautiful neon orangey red. Oh, I love this color so much. She is radiant. This is an aptly named color. So for this shape, I'm gonna be using the same brush that I used for all of this side. I just find that this brush is like my favorite out of that set. If you end up getting that Beetles gel nail polish set, the one with the clear crystals and the little bright blue color on the side is my favorite brush that I use for basically all of my looks. I always find a way to use this brush. And see, I just rinsed that for a long time, but wait until I wipe it on my paper towel. See, there's still stuff on there, so that's why the paper towel is important to have on hand too. Okay, so now dipping into the shade Radiant from the by Mellow Lops Radioactive collection. And so the way we're gonna do this shape is similar to the way we started the first shape. I'm gonna start by drawing a line, but a longer line out this way, and keep in mind that we're gonna be connecting it with a top line. So it's similar to the idea of this, but it's basically just like extending both of these shapes. Whether you want it to go up or more out is up to you. I'm gonna take mine more out because I find it's easier to connect the lines that way. Okay, let me just show you. I find that sometimes it's hard to describe graphic liner tips, and it's easier to see when you actually see someone doing it. So let me show you. So with this shape, it's gonna be less of a 2-part thing than the first side. It's gonna be more of a like going back and forth because I'm gonna be connecting them. I wanna get my basic shape before I go and fill them in. So now that I have my lines sticking out here, oh, such a pretty color, oh my gosh. Now I'm going to wet my brush again. And like on the first side, I like to start in that brow bone area, and then I'm going to do the same sort of flicky thing, but I'm gonna connect it to this line rather than going all the way up. Okay, you can see it's not a perfect shape by any means, but that's okay. I'm gonna go back over it here. These lines on this side, I like to be a little bit thicker. I don't know why. Whenever I do this shape, I like the lines to look a little thicker. I think especially with this color is so bold, I don't know why, I just feel like it calls for really bold lines. Now, I love the formula of the by Mellow Lops Radioactive Water Inks. The only thing I notice with these is you only get a couple of chances to layer these up. If you start layering them up more than 3 times, then they can get a little bit crackly. But that's just because there's so much water and product, you know, they'll start to crack. It happens, it's okay. And you shouldn't need to layer more than 3 times, because as you can see, this color is unbelievable. And I'm not even really layering, I'm just thickening it up. Okay, so I could just leave the shape like this, but I do want to add a wing now, like, you know, your standard wing, just covering my lash line here. So I am just gonna go in and connect my wing here. Now, I technically could have done this first, but I like to really map out my shape here. I like to get the line and then the line connecting to it first, because the wing part is not that hard. It's pretty easy. But I find that if I had tried to do like a wing like that, like trying to focus too hard on the wing to start with, then I may have not gotten the perfect shape out here. I don't know. I feel like a lot of graphic liner is personal preference. This is the order I like to work in with the shape, but you know, you can play around, find what works best for you. If doing the wing works best for you, then do that. Oh, I love the way that looks. That's so pretty. Okay, I am feeling really good about the way both of these shapes are looking right now. Let me put on some mascara real quick and then I'll be right back. All right, I have my mascara on, and with that, I have my completed graphic liner looks. We got your stacked liner shape over here, which I believe I said before, but I'll say again, I believe is the most beginner-friendly way to start graphic liner. You don't have to worry about connecting lines or anything. It's really just doing your basic wing, but a little extra long, and then doing your little stacked wing. Pretty easy stuff. This one's a little more challenging, but at the end of the day, you know, you just bring it out as far as you need to connect it. You're basically doing the same thing you're doing over here, except taking them longer and bringing them together. Pretty easy, pretty basic stuff. I find that the easiest way to get better at graphic liner is truly just to practice, you know, like with anything, you just keep practicing. And like I said, set with an eyeshadow, not an eyeshadow primer, because if you make mistakes, water activated liner is so easy to work with because water activates it, but water also erases it. You don't need to use any special makeup remover or anything. You can just wet a Q-tip and use that to wipe it away, and you can get right back to business and start all over. But yeah, I hope that I explained all of that well to you. I know it was a lot of information, and like I mentioned at the beginning, I'm gonna put a ton of resources in the description box for you. I will try to give you my outline of everything I said today, so if you want something concrete to save and look at later, then you can have that. I also find that watching Instagram videos is really helpful. I did a graphic liner shape yesterday for the first time that I was able to do after watching a cut creaser Instagram video. I don't know, I just think it's the easiest way to learn is to watch other people do it and just to keep practicing, you know? And if you don't get it right away, don't give up, just keep practicing. The first time I did graphic liner, I remember I thought I was hot stuff. I was like, wow, look at me, this graphic liner is amazing. And now I go back and look at some of my earlier looks and I'm like, oh my god, that line's not straight, and why is the line so thick, and why doesn't it look even? But it's okay, because you can only get better by practicing. Everybody has to start somewhere, you know? So you've been thinking about getting into graphic liner, but you're nervous and you don't know where to start, just start doing it, you know? Check out By Mellow Ops radioactive water inks. They are awesome. Check out Be Taylor Beauty, check out Be Elegant Cosmetics. You can use eyeshadow mixed with a mixing medium. This Mehron mixing medium is only $10 and you get this huge thing of it, and if you just dip your brush in here first and then dip into some eyeshadow, mix it together on the back of your hand, you got an eyeliner, baby. It's so easy to do. Like I said, you can use the e.l.f. liquid liner, you can use the NYX Cosmetics liquid liner. The paintbrush tip is the most important thing when doing graphic liner. That's really, out of everything I've talked about today, that I would say is the best first place to start, is to get some nail art brushes or get some paintbrush tip brushes and just get to doing it, you know? It's 2020, you can do anything. We're showing up to our holiday Zoom parties wearing graphic liner. Nobody can tell us what to do. I thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I post new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and they're always really cute and sweet and fun and fresh. Also, if you have any questions regarding what I talked about in today's video, please leave them down below. I tried to be really detailed, but I'm sure I missed some stuff, so definitely ask me a ton of questions. I would love to answer them for you. I love talking about graphic liner, and I'd love to keep chatting with you. Also, follow me on Instagram at GlamGeoNYC. I post graphic liner looks basically every day there, and I post little videos and stuff too, so you can get even more graphic liner content. I thank you so much again for watching. Please check out my description box for everything I talked about today, as well as a ton of Black Lives Matter resources, as well as a link to votesaveamerica.com, which will help you check your voter registration and find out about voting rules within your state. If you live in the United States and are eligible to vote, I highly encourage you to exercise your right to do so. And I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!